Are you not seeing the results you want with posting your social media and creating content for it? Today's video is all about how to make your social media work for you so it's worth your time. So here's the deal. Social media is something that everyone says you gotta do. You gotta be posting on social media. You gotta be visible to the audience. You gotta make sure that you make the right content for your social media. Blah, 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 blah. But most people who create social media, well, they don't get very much engagement. They don't get leads. They definitely don't get sales from their social media. So why are we continuing to do it? It takes a lot of time to create. It takes a lot of effort. And if no one is even, consuming your stuff, is it really worth your time? Well, here's the deal. When it comes to social media, there's a lot of aspects that are really important and crucial for your business and your success. I know for me, when I hear about someone or look into them, the first thing I'm doing is I'm going to their social media. So it definitely has its time and place, but it's not the best way to get the best results. It's only half the battle. Today I'm going to be sharing with you the other half of the battle that you got to make sure that you are driving in home, or else your social media is going to be worthless. It's going to be crickets. It's never going to work for you. If you're not having social media success, it's because you're missing the second half, and that's what this video is all about. Okay, so when it comes down to it, there's really two parts to the growing your leads or growing your audience or growing your ecosystem, we call it, for you to potentially get more leads and more sales, right? Because the leads turn into sales, so that you can impact more people and you can grow your business, right? So the two parts is, number one is you gotta have the visibility, and number two is there's the nurture part of your ecosystem. When you're posting on social media, that is normally for your current ecosystem. Now, back in the day, when there wasn't so much, algorithms and so much noise of all these different things happening, people went viral, and that was something that people went after. Nowadays, people don't necessarily go viral as often. Yeah, some posts will definitely get shared more often. There will definitely be some viral aspects of it, but you don't necessarily make your posts, some of them do, but you don't make your posts to go viral. You make it to nurture the people that are in your ecosystem and get them engaged and interacting with you and ready for when you make an offer, they pounce on it and say, I want what you have, right? But that comes later after the visibility. To get that type of reaction, to get that type of engagement, to get that to actually happen, is we need to create some sort of visibility in the market. And visibility is what most people are missing, because it's much easier to go and just, hey, let me post a photo on Instagram, or let me just create a post on my profile on Facebook. That's easy, right? Anyone could do that. But the reason why most people are having so much, struggling so much and no success with it is because that's all they're doing. And so that is just a way for you to just get burnt out with the creating content, is creating content for no one, right? So if you want to create content, you got to make sure that you have the first part of the formula, which is visibility. Visibility in the market, and people need to get to know you and come over to you, right? They got to come over to your profile. So how do you get visibility? So there's three different ways to get more visibility, and I'm going to share with you my favorite one out of the three in a minute to get the fastest results possible and the best results possible, from what I know at least. Okay, so we'll start with the smallest to the biggest, and then I'll give you my take on the favorite. So the smallest is going to be you organically going out there yourself. This could be going to different influencers that have your market, looking at people who follow that influencer, going to those different people's profiles, following those people's profiles, and building a real relationship with them. This could be friend requesting people to build your network of new connections and starting to build rapport and relationships with those people. It's really about connecting with more people, similar to how you would go to a conference or a networking event. You go and exchange cards back in the day or whatever. You would build your networks, right? And then eventually you would hopefully get in contact with those people. They'd be engaged. They'd see something from what you're doing. They'd say, that sounds interesting to me, because they're the contact. And that's how you would then nurture someone to move them into your sales pipeline. Now, here's a really interesting question that you got to ask yourself is when someone comes to your profile and you're not amazing major influencer with like millions of people, but when someone comes to your profile and they're like follow you and maybe they like a couple of your stuff and maybe they comment, what is your natural instinct of how you interact with that person? Well, I don't know about you, but for me, when someone does that with me, what's the first thing I do? Well, I go to their page and I look more about them, and then if I like them, I'll follow them back, or I'll just look at what they're doing and maybe I'll comment back and reciprocate what they just did to me, because like I feel almost, almost pulled to do it because it's just a natural tendency. So if I'm doing that and maybe you're doing that too, don't you think other people do that? So wouldn't it be a solid strategy for you to really, not fakely, but really go out and try to build rapport and build relationships with people? And if that's the case, then that's automatically going to build more visibility for what you have in your own profiles. Makes sense, right? So organically going and building your network is going to be one of the ways to get more visibility to your profile. But it's slow, right? Individually going to all these people, like, if you did 50 people a day, which would take forever, but 50 people a day, that's only 50 views you can get, right? Yeah, it's over time, compound. It works really nicely, but it's slow, right? It's a compounding slow grind, which is totally cool and works for a lot of people, but you gotta set your expectations for it. So understanding that. The second way is called OPP. That's how we call it. That's using other people's platforms. So this would be finding different people who have your audience that you'd like to be in front of already and getting on those platforms that they host, whether that's an interview, a summit, a talk, or a webinar, whatever it is, to get in front of their people, a podcast maybe, get in front of their people, and then those people are then gonna hear you, see you, and then naturally be inclined to come check you out if they like what you hear. Here's what I love about this. Number one is, you're basically getting endorsed by the person that's bringing you on because they've built that audience and they have the like and trust with that person. So automatically when you come on there, they automatically think of you very differently than anyone else because you've now come on to something that they're already following. They already have that trust built into them. On top of that, let's say they have 100 people or 1,000 people or 10,000 people in their audience. Well, you've now linked into 100, 1,000, 10,000 people versus manually having to go to yourself. So instead of manually going to all of those people, you manually go to one person who has now access to all those people. This, my friends, is my favorite strategy for getting in front of the most people, getting the most visibility, but the best type of people, best type of quality of people that you can come, because again, you've already got that edification from them. So there's still some manual work when it comes down to it. You still got to make connections, you still got to build rapport, you still got to go through the process of getting on these platforms using different systems or processes that we can show you. But different activities are gonna how are you gonna get in front of them? What are you gonna pitch to them? How are you gonna make it a win-win? How can you solve a problem for their audience? That's something that you wanna be thinking about, right? So you come in there being uniquely different to them, but solving a different problem that they solve, right? And that's how you present yourself to them. So that would be the second way of getting more visibility, my favorite. There's many talks that I've been on recently where I've got thousands of people interacting with me and understanding who I am just from being in that network, and then they turn into sales after all because they're with you. So that's the second way. The third way is obviously paying for it, right? So you can pay the networks to be in front of more of your audience. You just have to, that's how you get visible. And the main thing there is you just have to really know your numbers. Now, I would never pay to get in front of people just to get more likes or more follows. It just doesn't really make sense. If you're gonna be paying for something, you wanna make sure that there's a clear return on ad spend or return on spend that works with the metrics that you have in your business. And if you don't even know what those metrics are, then you probably shouldn't start with this right now. So some clear metrics that you should be really, in touch with. Number one is you should know what your earnings per lead is if you're going on a lead basis, or if you're going on an acquisition basis, you should know what your cost per acquisition and also your earning per acquisition is going to be. What is your average order value? So once you acquire the person, what's the order value that you get on the initial or 30 days? It's also important to know your lifetime value. Again, if these are very foreign to you, then skip this type of visibility for now and go to the other two. They work fantastic, okay? So those are gonna be the 3 types of visibilities that you can get. All 3 of them work, but that doesn't mean you need to do all 3 of them at the same time. What I recommend is you systemize one, you build it, you build a process around it, then you get someone else, then you get it working for you, make some money with it, 4 times the return on investment of you spending your time on it. So like, are you making 4x the amount? And then get someone to take it over for you. Once then you're making money with it, they're gonna start making money with it. You go to the next one and you start building from there. That's how you grow your company. So which one of the 3 visibility strategies are you gonna use, and what are you committed to doing as soon as possible? Thanks for watching this video. I appreciate your time. I appreciate you being here, and I will see you in one of the next videos. Bye for now.